Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, today we're plunging into, well, a true global phenomenon. A show that didn't just dominate screens, but really changed the game for foreign language TV worldwide.
We are, of course, talking about Squid Game.
Exactly. And this isn't, just another thriller. It's this huge South Korean dystopian survival story, a real cultural landmark. Our mission today is basically to unpack it all. Peel back the layers from its pretty surprising origins, the powerful themes, right down to the production details, and, well, the massive impact it had.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is how this story, which was actually conceived over a decade ago, how it landed with such incredible resonance when it finally came out. We'll definitely dig into how the creator, Hwang Dong-hyuk, used his own personal experiences, his observations of society, to shape something that it feels extreme, but also kind of disturbingly real.
Definitely. Get ready, because, this deep dive is packed. Lots of insights, I think.
Absolutely.
So where did Squid Game actually come from? How did it start?
Well, you mentioned the creator's struggles.
Yeah, Hwang Dong-hyuk. Around 2008, right?
Yeah.
He was dealing with his own economic hardship, loans, debt. South Korea's financial crisis was hitting hard then.
Exactly. And the really insightful part here is how, while he was going through that, personally grappling with it, he found himself in comic book cafes reading Japanese survival manga.
Oh, interesting. Like Battle Royale.
Battle Royale, Liar Game, those kinds of stories. So you have this direct experience of financial pressure meeting this allegorical power of survival narratives.
And that sparked the idea.
That was the spark, yeah. He saw it as this powerful allegory for modern capitalism. Life is extreme competition, but shown through characters you could actually relate to.
But here's the thing, right? He wrote the script way back in 2009.
2009.
And nobody wanted it. It was seen as, too grotesque, unrealistic.
Yeah, apparently various South Korean production companies, even actors he approached, they just thought it was too much. Too dark, maybe too weird for the time.
So he just put it away. For 10 years.
He shelved it. For a decade. Which, really makes you ask.
A change.
Exactly. What shifted in the world or in the industry that made it suddenly viable? And not just viable, but a global sensation.
Must be Netflix, partly.
That was absolutely key. Around 2019, Netflix was making this huge push to expand its foreign programming slate.
Right.
And Kim Min-young, one of their content officers, she saw Wang's talent, saw Squid Game, and apparently recognized it was exactly the kind of bold, unique story they were looking for.
And Hwang himself felt the timing was right.
He did. He apparently said the world had changed enough that the story now felt, and this is his words, intriguing and realistic, especially perhaps with the growing awareness of economic disparity, which the pandemic only amplified later.
So the world kind of caught up to his vision.
It really seems like it did, yeah.
And it changed form, too, didn't it? It started as a film idea.
Originally conceived as a feature film, yes. But expanding it into a 9-episode series gave him much more room.
To flesh out the characters, the relationship.
Exactly. Deeper dives into who these people were and how they interacted under that pressure.
And, okay, get this little tidbit. Netflix apparently wanted to call it Round 6.
Round 6? Really? Why?
Just for, I guess, easier global understanding. Something clearer. But Hwang pushed hard for Squid Game.
Good call.
Totally. He believed that slightly cryptic name, combined with the show's unique visuals, would actually pull people in, make them curious.
And he wasn't wrong, was he?
Not at all. It worked. Okay, so for anyone maybe needing a quick refresher, let's just lay out the basic premise.
Good idea.
Squid Game is about this secret underground competition. You have 456 players, every single one of them in deep, deep financial trouble.
Desperate people.
Literally desperate. And they risk their lives playing children's games. But deadly versions.
For a massive cash prize.
Huge. 45.6 billion won. Which at the time was around, almost 40 million US dollars?
Yeah, about that. And the grim part, every time a player dies,
more money goes into the piggy bank. 100 million per death. About $87,000.
It's brutal. And the visuals establish that power imbalance right away, don't they?
Oh, instantly. The players in those green tracksuits, kind of anonymous, vulnerable.
Contrasted with the masked guards in those striking pink jumpsuits.
Yeah.
Very uniform, faceless enforcers.
And then overseeing it all, the front man. Yeah. Always in black, very mysterious.
Yeah, it's a brilliant visual shorthand for the whole system.
And the players themselves. You mainly follow Seong Gi-hun, player 456.
Yeah.
He's sort of our entry point.
Right, the gambling addict, divorced, trying to support his daughter.
His motivations are very clear.
But he's just one piece of this desperate mosaic. You've got Cho Sang-woo, number 218.
His childhood friend. The success story's gone wrong.
Yeah, the investment banker on the run from the police for fraud, massive debts. Total contrast to Gi-hun in some ways, but just as desperate. Then there's Kang Sa-byuk, 067, the North Korean defector.
Her goal is so specific, trying to get her family out, buy a house, very driven.
And Ali Abdul, 199. The migrant worker from Pakistan.
Yeah, just trying to provide for his family after being cheated out of his wages.
Yeah.
Such a sympathetic character.
And you can't forget, Il Nam, player 001.
The old man.
Yeah.
Initially seems like he's just playing because he's dying anyway.
Right. Prefers the game to waiting for death from his brain tumor. But there's more to him, isn't there?
Much more. He turns out to be the creator of the games.
Spoilers. But yeah, a crucial twist. And, it doesn't stop there. The later seasons keep introducing new faces, new stories of financial hardship.
Right, like in season 2, they added Lee Myung-gi, the former YouTuber hit by a crypto scam.
Exactly. And Cho Hyun-ju, the transgender woman needing money for her surgery.
It just keeps reinforcing how widespread and varied economic desperation can be. It's not just one type of person.
Precisely. It broadens the show's commentary.
And the games. They're so simple, yet so terrifying.
That's the genius of it, I think. Hwang specifically chose well-known Korean childhood games.
Why? What was the thinking there?
To create this horrifying irony. Innocent games, nostalgic games for many Koreans turned into these life-or-death struggles.
Like the actual Squid game itself.
Yeah, apparently a popular, physically rough kids game back in the 70s and 80s. He saw it as a perfect symbol for society's competitiveness.
And red light, green light. That first game is just brutal.
He picked that one because it could eliminate a huge number of players right off the bat. He described the scene as a kind of ridiculous but sad group dance, which is chillingly accurate.
Wow. Even the little details like the colors for Dakshi, the paper flipping game, blue and red.
Yeah, that's apparently a nod to a Japanese urban legend called red paper, blue paper, just another layer of unsettling reference.
It makes you wonder, how do these simple elements carry so much weight?
Well, take the recurring shapes, the circle, triangle, square. They're not just on the recruitment cards or the logo.
On the guards' masks.
Exactly, and they represent the hierarchy. Circles are the basic workers, triangles the soldiers, squares the managers. It's built into the Squid game itself, too.
It's this subtle visual language running underneath everything.
Very subtle, very powerful.
Yeah. Let's talk about the look of the show. The production design is just unforgettable.
Absolutely stunning. They use these incredibly vibrant, almost surreal sets and costumes.
Why so colorful and fantastical?
To deliberately create a world that felt separate from reality, disorienting. And the colors were key for emphasizing that loss of individuality: green for the massive players, pink for the uniform guards.
The production designer, Chae King-sun, drew inspiration from some interesting places, right?
Oh, definitely. Those bizarre maze-like staircases and corridors.
Yeah.
Inspired by M.C. Escher, those impossible drawings.
Okay. That makes sense. Trapping them.
She called it a form of bondage for the contestants, and the tunnels connecting the different game areas, modeled after ant colonies.
Suggesting players are just drones, cogs in a machine.
Something like that, yeah. That feeling of being insignificant within a larger, hidden structure.
And the color palette itself, the mint, green, and pink. There's a history there, too.
There is. Apparently, those colors were really common in South Korean schools back in the 70s and 80s.
So using them in the game setting.
It weaponizes nostalgia, almost. Takes something familiar, maybe even comforting from childhood, and twists it into something terrifying. The green tracksuits make you associate fear with the guards' pink. It's clever psychological stuff.
And the dormitory set evolved, too, didn't it?
It did. Started looking like basic warehouse shelves, as if the players were just items. But as the games went on, the set visually degraded, looking more like broken ladders and stairs.
Showing there was no way out. Trap.
Exactly, visually reinforcing their hopelessness.
Wow, the level of detail. And there were other artistic references, too.
Loads. That big formal dinner scene in episode 8.
Yeah, the one before the final game.
Inspired by Judy Chicago's feminist art installation, The Dinner Party.
And the skies in some of the game arenas.
Reminiscent of René Magritte's painting, The Empire of Light. That sort of surreal, dreamlike, but eerie quality.
And the marble set must have been incredibly detailed. That felt very specific.
It was apparently the most time-consuming set to build. They aimed for this mix of realism, like a neighborhood alley, but with a deliberate artificiality.
Mirroring the stakes. Life and death in a fabricated space.
Precisely. And they even wove in elements meant to evoke Player 001's childhood memories, tying into his backstory.
Incredible. Okay, we have to talk about the doll. The red light, green light doll.
Youngie! Iconic.
Where did that design come from?
She was based on a character from old Korean school textbooks from the 70s and 80s, like their version of Dick and Jane, maybe?
And her hairstyle.
Apparently modeled on Hwang's own daughter's hair.
No way. That's kind of creepy and sweet at the same time.
Isn't it? And the song she sings, Mugunghwa Flower, has blossomed. Mugunghwa is the national flower of South Korea.
So again, that contrast. Innocence, national symbolism, paired with sudden, brutal death.
Deliberate juxtaposition. That's a key theme throughout.
What about the practical side of filming those games? Some looked genuinely dangerous.
Well, some involved clever tricks. The Glass Stepping Stones game, for instance, looked terrifyingly high.
Yeah, like they were hundreds of feet up.
In reality, the set was only about 1.5 meters, maybe 5 feet off the ground.
Really?
Yeah. They used extensive chroma key, green screen technology, combined with camera angles to create that illusion of height. But apparently, even at 1.5 meters, the actors felt genuinely nervous crossing the glass.
I bet it still felt real to them.
Added to the performance, I imagine. Now, the tug-of-war set. That one was high, over 10 meters, like 30-plus feet.
Okay, that would definitely add to the anxiety.
No doubt. A mix of practical danger and clever illusion.
And the sound, the music. Young Jail, who also did Parasite.
That's right. Brilliant composer. He created the score that blends traditional Korean elements with classical music really effectively.
Like using Haydn's Trumpet Concerto as the wake-up call.
And Strauss's The Blue Danube waltz to signal the start of a new game. Again, that unsettling contrast. Elegant music for deadly scenarios.
Was the use of Fly Me to the Moon also Hwang's idea during Red Light, Green Light?
It was. He specifically requested that cover. He said he wanted to use the stark difference between the song's romantic lyrics and the absolute brutality on screen.
To comment on society.
Yeah, to highlight what he called the increasingly polarized capitalist society. That gap between idyllic dreams and harsh reality.
Wow. And the simpler tracks, like the kids' theme way back then.
For that, Young used really basic instruments, things you'd find in an elementary school. Recorders, simple percussion, and that 3-3-7 clapping rhythm.
Which is common in Korean cheering.
Exactly. Again, twisting something familiar and innocent into the score for something terrifying.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The impact, the numbers were just staggering, weren't they?
Unbelievable. It wasn't just popular, it became Netflix's most watched series ever at the time, #1 in, 94 countries?
Including the US and the UK, which is huge for a non-English show. Over 1.65 billion hours watched in the first month alone.
It just dwarfed everything else, even huge hits like Bridgerton.
What does that tell us?
Well, it's a massive testament to the power of the Korean wave, Hallyu. It proved definitively that South Korean storytelling, when given a global platform like Netflix,
Can resonate everywhere.
Absolutely. Korean creators seem to have this knack for taking universal themes, debt, competition, desperation, morality, and filtering them through a unique cultural lens that somehow makes them feel fresh and incredibly compelling worldwide.
And the cultural impact went beyond just watching it.
Oh, yeah. Suddenly you had those real-life replicas of the Youngie doll popping up in the Philippines, Seoul, even the Netherlands, I think.
Pop-up stores in Paris selling merch. People were organizing their own red light, green light games.
It really tapped into the zeitgeist, became this shared global experience.
And the Squid Game world itself keeps growing.
It does. Netflix obviously saw the potential. There's a video game now, Squid Game. Unleashed.
And a reality show, Squid Game. The challenge.
Right. 456 real players competing for $4.56 million. Kind of meta, isn't it?
Very meta. A bit controversial too, maybe.
A little bit, yeah. Reports about conditions during filming, but hugely popular nonetheless.
Yep.
And now, an English language remake.
With David Fincher potentially involved.
I'm saying yeah.
Very interesting. High expectations for that one, if it happens.
And the original story didn't just end after season 1, for those who kept watching.
No, Hwang continued the narrative. Season 2 came out December 2024.
That's right. And it saw Gi-hun come back seeking revenge.
Yeah, delving more into the frontman story, his brother Hwang Yun-ho, the police officer.
And then season 3 just dropped recently, June 2025, filmed back-to-back with season 2.
Pushing the remaining players into even deadlier games, apparently, and promising big revelations about how Hwang In-ho actually became the frontman.
Why do you think Huang decided to continue? He mentioned the first season took a huge toll. Well, the global demand must have been immense. Hard to ignore that kind of success. But he also talked about wanting to explore themes he hadn't fully resolved.
Like the front man and his brother.
That relationship, yeah. And wanting to show Gihun reaching, as he put it, a very critical crossroads by the end of it all, exploring the possibility or impossibility of actually stopping the games.
Right. Can one person really change such a powerful system?
Yeah.
Wow, what a journey this show has been. It's been great unpacking it. From Huang's own struggles, birthing the idea, to the incredible design, the symbolic aims, that amazing cast. It's just so much more than a simple thriller.
Absolutely. That commentary on, capitalism, inequality, basic human nature under pressure, it just hit a nerve globally.
Because it felt true, even in its extremity.
I think so. It tapped into anxieties that are pretty universal right now, unfortunately. It felt relevant.
The success really shows how much we as viewers are drawn to stories that, well, hold up a mirror, even if the reflection is dark.
Even if it's uncomfortable. Maybe because it's uncomfortable.
So here's something to think about as we wrap up. In that final season, the front man basically tells Gihun, you can't stop the games. Because it's just human nature. People will always choose this, given the chance.
A bleak outlook.
Very. So, considering Squid Game's massive, enduring popularity, what does that say about us? About our own anxieties, maybe our own hidden desires, living in a world that often feels like its own kind of high-stakes, maybe rigged game?
That's a heavy question to end on.
Something to definitely mull over. Until our next deep dive.